Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Energy Newsbeat podcast. My name's Stu Turley, president here of the Sandstone Group. Today, I've got a fantastic podcast lined up for you. I've got a co-host here today, Kimberly Page with Reese Energy Consulting. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm excited about it. Ready to have this discussion.
Yeah, we're going to really delve into some fun discussions. I've got Kirk Edwards. He is the head cabano over there at Latigo Petroleum, and he is over in Odessa. How are you today, sir?
Doing great, Stu. Thanks for having me today.
Boy, and I am glad I didn't step in that pile of poo and say, you're in Midland, aren't you?
Well, we still have Friday night lights out here, so it comes up every once in a while, Midland, Odessa.
You know, we've been chit-chatting here, and you kicked off on your LinkedIn post a message to Washington. Texas oil doesn't need tariffs or OPEC plus flooding. We need you to get out of the way. I absolutely love your attitude. And I think that when we see President Trump, I absolutely love President Trump. President Trump is a cool cat. But when he goes drill, baby, drill, it's almost better if you voted for a Democrat than you did a Republican. Tell us about your article.
Yeah, it's again, the Houston Chronicle called me up, their editorial board, a couple of days ago, and we visited, and they wrote a great piece today. If people get a chance to go read it, I think it's just spot on. And it talks about how, and what we're seeing out here, I've got so many friends and family members in the energy service business that are directly related to the drilling. And it seems like it's kind of a tale of two cities right now. The drilling side is increasingly getting bad. A lot of layoffs. Everybody associated with drilling is bad. And then the production side, they're still bringing on these big wells. So the production guys are staying busy. Midland, Odessa seems to be staying busy, but there is definitely an undertone right now of people getting laid off out here that's got everybody nervous.
Oh, absolutely. But, and I'm going to bring Kim in here in a minute, and Kimberly, and that is that a change in the molecules? Because we're taking a look at AI and demand and nat gas, and that is the Permian getting more gaseous, and that may be a good thing because we need more gas with AI, natural gas demand, LNG exports. President Trump and Secretary Chris Wright trying to do energy dominance as an export service. LNG export, that's a good thing with new pipelines coming out of the Permian. So is that a good thing for flatlining on nat gas rigs, but oil going down?
Yeah, and again, I wrote an article on this yesterday, Stu, so it's a great topic also for the Odessa American. But there's no cheaper gas in the world than in the Permian Basin right now. Matter of fact, it's negative pricing today because of pipeline constraints. There's flaring going on still everywhere. And if you're an AI company building a big data center that has to have, a gigawatt of electricity to run it, why not build it here where the gas is almost free? Seriously. And we've got all the water that we're injecting in the ground that is causing earthquakes that we should be, repurposing to run in these data centers to help cool them in these turbines. And I think it's going to be a perfect storm ahead for the Permian Basin to have data centers start locating here too. And we're already seeing it, especially here in Odessa. Abilene has that big, humongous project that's underway getting built. Rick Perry's trying to put one up in the Texas Panhandle. So you're going to see a lot of gas getting burned here in the States also that's going to compete with the LNG. So I think the nice upside of all this right now is if you're in the natural gas side of things, which Latigo is, we're probably 80% natural gas production. So we're excited. The strip yesterday on the natural gas prices went over $4 for the next 5 years. And that's very positive as opposed to the oil price being at $60 to $61 where it is today.
So as a natural gas, Reese Energy Consulting, and you can go to reeseenergyconsulting.com, by the way, just thought I'd share that out there. And Kimberly, natural gas and getting your molecules from the Permian out to LNG terminals is pretty critical. What are you guys seeing over there at Reese?
I totally agree. And as has been in the news of recent, is people wanting to put in more and more pipelines. And so trying to help people navigate through that. We have a whole lot of AI business right now ourselves, and that's locating the gas, helping them locate the gas, helping them put together a full plan. So Yeah, we're seeing it, and it's fun, and it's an exciting time right now for sure.
I'll tell you, this is kind of, you're bringing up about 4 or 5 different kind of things going on. And when we sit back and take a look, where, other than filling the SPR and getting since President Biden robbed our strategic oil reserve, which just drives me nuts, that absolutely just, I almost consider, I consider Secretary Mayorkas guilty of treason by having an open border and not doing his job. But I also consider it almost treasonous to waste such an expensive United States strategic oil reserve for a political gain. I consider that treasonous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Well,
is it just driving the price down?
And it's exactly what happened, because it happened right at the midterms during Biden's last midterm that he had. And it helped. I mean, it got the economy going and got gasoline prices down just exactly like you think it would. But yet now we're again, Stu, I don't know if you, Kimberly, think this, but I've never seen the world as volatile as it is right now, with China out there, Iran, and then especially Russia and Ukraine, and everybody waving their swords at each other right now. And yet we have our strategic petroleum reserve dumped in half right now and not putting anything in. And China, on the other side, is building huge reserves right now. They're building more capacity. And so they're taking a lot of imports at $60 a barrel and sticking them in their ever building reserve. And you kind of scratch your head wondering, why are they doing that? And yet we're not. And there's something disconnected there too.
Kirk, you bring up a fantastic point. And I mean, not only a fantastic point, a very scary point, because when you look at the OPEC plus, I just wrote an article this morning on energynewsbeat.co, and that is, I've been saying for a long time, OPEC plus does not have a lot of spare capacity. Russia does not have a lot of spare capacity. Iran, Iraq, everybody does not have the spare capacity, and there's not the oil glut that is going on right now because China's buying everything. India's buying everything. And I think that President Trump, by putting the extra tariffs on India, was a huge mistake trying to get Putin to end the war in Ukraine. He's not going to end the war in Ukraine till he's ready. And I think he has said, Kirk and Kimberly, the only reason he's going to go to do business is if he would do business with the United States and Trump. He has said that. And the only way I'm going to end this war is if I'm going to go do business. I'm like, I don't care. Let's just we do business with China. Why don't we do business with you and end the stinking war? This, to me, it makes a little more sense than putting secondary or tertiary tariffs on India, making them mad, driving them away. As long as India and China, Kirk, don't you think as long as they're buying oil prices and demand globally should match up?
Well, yeah, but again, OPEC always has that spare capacity, and they can put it on the market whenever they want to. So Reuters was in my office yesterday, and we were talking about how America's dominant now with oil and gas production. OPEC and Saudi Arabia have always been the price setters. So they want to put oil on the market, they do. If they don't want to take it off, they will. But you're exactly right. We're one incident away from a big spike in oil prices, and I'm surprised that with the production increases you've seen from OPEC Plus announced lately, that we're not in the 50s. But again, we talked about it earlier, Ukraine hitting the Russian refineries. That is a big deal, but it's causing those barrels that were going in the refinery to make the Russian people their gasoline and diesel to go back on the ocean now and get back in that world market again. So it's a very interesting quadratic equation, I would say, being an engineer, on how this gets solved ahead. And I don't know what the answer is.
Kirk, this also, speaking of Iran and Iraq, Iraq just opened up their new pipeline going in, and Iraq got California imports 70% of their oil ballpark. And one of their largest suppliers is Iraq. And ironically, they're having to import gasoline and diesel now. The amount of tankers, that is so counter good for the environment. Gavin Newsom is absolutely, does he need more hair gel? I don't know. This is absolutely despicable.
Well, and two, you get, what people don't understand is California gets a tremendous amount of sour crude from Canada. I mean, a lot of that just comes off Canada, goes down in through tankers to California. But Canada burns 3 to 4 billion with a cubic feet of gas a day to heat up their tar sands to make that oil flow. And so California is helping the environment by burning more tar sands gas that's going straight into CO2 in the atmosphere. Makes no sense.
It makes, it just, for our podcast listeners, it makes my head hurt. I've got a furrowed brow going the math. I went to Oklahoma State and I'm sitting there, the math don't math up. I'm going, 1, 2, 3. It does not math. So where do you see us going in oil prices? I mean, we are one disaster away, like the Chevron refinery in California. That thing just blew up. That's 40% of the jet fuel in Southern Cal. That's 20% of the diesel in the area. Man, and when the other two refineries close in California, that's going to be $10 gasoline next year. This is going to be absolutely horrific. But where do you see global oil prices?
Yeah, again, you got to ask OPEC. I mean, you got to ask Saudi Arabia where they want to put them, because and I give speeches to, and I always tell everybody, I said, I know exactly what the price is going to be in 3 months.
Right.
I tell everybody to remind me at the end of the speech, and then somebody always says, "Oh, you said it's going to be, what's the oil price going to be?" And I tell them it's going to be whatever Saudi wants it to be. And so
right.
If they put more oil in the market and Russia and Ukraine are still doing what they're doing, then we're going to have the $60 price. But if they start taking it back, but I can't see that because Trump loves these cheap gasoline prices, and it's helping the economy. It helps everybody except those of us that produce it.
Right.
And so that's the oxymoron going on with what's happening is, our administration's picking a better economy versus its domestic energy industry. And I think that's a misguided step right now.
Do you think the change in molecule demand is going to impact, let's say 5 years from now, we get more pipeline out of the Permian that nat gas because it does appear that nat gas demand is going to be skyrocketing?
Yeah, and Stu, what's crazy, Kimberly probably can talk better to this, but we produce, say, in the Permian right now, it's negative.
Right.
The Panhandle of Texas, we're getting probably $3.50, $4 an MCF. That gets liquefied and put on a tanker and goes to Europe. It's $18 to $30 an MCF. So people can live with 18 to 30, but yet we're only getting 2. I mean, there's such a disconnect right now. So again, if we got $6, $8 an MCF, you would see this country going nuts on natural gas. But again, the Permian guys have it. They can get all the natural gas you want. It's just we can't get it out of here. That's the problem.
Yeah, Stargate is just down the road from my house here in Abilene, and I'm that thing is huge. And they are putting in small jet engines. They're repurposing jet engines to natural gas just to get them started, because the nat gas turbines are in such short supply. They're going to use these as backup generators, backup turbines when the other one comes in and it's then installed. That thing would support 130,000 homes, but it's going to be behind the meter. So behind the meter data centers in Midland, Odessa area, in that area, would be phenomenally price smart.
Right. Especially because they're going to have to bring their own power. So it used to be this NIMBY thing. People are always trying to get big data into their communities. And then they found out how much power they take. Now everybody's like, we don't want you. But the big data center guys now are exactly what you said. They're having to bring their own power. And the turbine orders I heard are like 5 to 6 years out. I mean, that is going to be, and I have not heard the jet engine. So that's going to be interesting how they're going to use a preliminary step before the big turbines are built and the big plants are built. But what's not going to happen, and I've been very much involved in a big nuclear company the last couple of years, nuclear's 7 years away if it's there. And it's a shame, because that's the answer. You can get all the nuclear power you want. But again, this country's not ready to. We don't have anybody at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission that's approved a plant in 40 years. And so what kind of mindset do we have trying to get something built when nobody's there that's even seen one built?
No, Kirk, you are dead on right on nuclear. And I've interviewed several nuclear companies, and you over there at Nano Nuclear, I've interviewed him and their CEO, and they are absolutely wonderful people. He's got 2 plants that he's got 2 locations, one in Canada, one in the US, but I love the way they're doing it. They're going to be building micro reactors that'll fit on a truck. But on the other hand, it's going to take a little bit of time they're building the factory at the same time. 2 factories, 2 locations, one in Canada, one in the US, and they're building the factory and getting them approved at the same time. But they're 3 to 5 years out. I mean,
And Stu, you have to have the fuel for them too. So the fuel's not even available yet. So
and
it's still,
they're doing the fuel at the same time. And so
yeah,
they're bringing in the fuel at the same time. They've got the fuel, the factory, and the locations at the same time.
correct.
So
Yeah. But like you said, again, that's not proven, first of all. And these
right.
turbines are proven. They can generate the electricity, and these data centers have to have very reliable 24/7 power. And windmills and solar panels, as you know, are not going to do that.
No, absolutely not. And Kimberly, when we sit back and take a look at auditing for natural gas in what Reese Energy is consulting, you've got some gigantic customers in the natural gas space. How are they looking at nat gas? They're feeling pretty groovy about the future, eh?
They definitely are, yes. And that's good for us, obviously, because of our auditing business. But yeah, they're all excited.
Well, I'll tell you what do you see coming around the corner as far for to go?
Well, again, we're happy we're in natural gas finally. As Kimberly can tell you, we have fought, especially in the panhandle. Again, we get good takeaway in the panhandle, so we never get the negative pricing like they do in the Waha, things like that. But you're still been $2 gas, net at the wellhead and things like that.
Right.
And so finally at $4, you can see some activity going on, and there's some activity in the mergers and acquisitions up there. So I think the Anadarko Basin is finally going to be in the limelight as opposed to being in the doldrums the last probably 5 to 10 years. So I think that anybody involved in the natural gas thinks is going to be extremely happy, especially with the way the strips are looking right now for pricing ahead. Very positive.
Yeah, my family's got some mineral rights in the Anadarko Basin, and I've always always been praying for a rig on that land.
Exactly.
So when we sit back, well, thank you, and people will find you on your LinkedIn account, Kirk.
Oh, you bet. I'm very active there and always could take more friends and followers there too. But it's very exciting right now. Again, I'm a huge Trump supporter. I was at Mar-a-Lago just a couple of months ago having dinner
Nice.
there with him, and couldn't be more proud of his policies on immigration and things like that. But do not understand where we're going on energy and energy security right now. And again, we see it here in the Permian. We've lost probably 70 rigs in the last 6 months that are
Wow.
drilling for oil in this country, and there's 100 people per rig that are out there working, and you're seeing the layoffs happen right now. It's not affecting Midland, Odessa that bad because we have so many people that transient in here. Our airport is full of F-150 pickups. I mean, it is the parking lot. But again, you're not seeing a lot of the layoffs here locally just because we have so many transient people happening. And
Wow.
but again, we'd rather be busy than cautious and uncertain about times ahead.
Oh, absolutely. And Kimberly, and any last thoughts in ReeseEnergyConsulting.com?
Not that I can think of, other than when I was coming into the call today, drill baby drill was on my mind, and we got to talk about that. So I'm a happy camper over here.
All right. Well, with that, thank you all very much for stopping by the podcast. My name's Stu Turley, President of the Sandstone Group. And Kirk, I can't wait to give you a hug next time I'm out there in Odessa. So
You bet, Stu. Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you.